is called non-P. All notations you have to see. P is person. Non-P other than P, it includes our psychological environment, physical environment, social environment, etc. So what is there in the P? That is what is shown in the top three pictures or diagrams. Please see the circle. It is not perfect circle, elliptical circle. The width of the boundary also we have to observe here. It shows the interaction, how possible, feasible, flexible, rigid is the interaction it shows. Thinner says it is more interactive. Thicker says that we will discuss later. Okay, one is now we have seen P. What is there within the P is central part is called IP, inner circle, that is inner person. And outer one is called as the perceptual system and the motor system denoted by PM. Within the P, there is IP and PM. IP includes interpersonal aspect, interpersonal aspect, including our values, needs, beliefs, etc. So motor system contains abilities. Perceptual system about understanding of our environment and self. And we also told that, discussed that motor system at a time act one act and perceptual system act on one fact to comprehend its meaning. Both are independent systems. Please note that point. So what are there in the motor system is nothing but abilities, and whatever we do, that is the action. Behavior is exhibited through locomotor system. This is the part where we act and exhibit our behavior. That is independent, it says. Next one is within the IP. You see PM and IP, that P, within that P, within the IP again, inner person, whenever you get a, that dynamic part we will discuss now. Just briefly, I am telling here, once your need arises from the environment, for that need, depending on different requirements, say hunger is there, and you want sleep, or you want study, three needs are there. For those three needs, in order to execute, inner person creates certain cells for each one. Cells and subcells also it creates. Region, they call it region also. Number of regions depends on number of needs. And whatever important need is there, that will become central. Less important become peripheral. These characteristics we will see shortly. So a person has two needs or facts, two activities required. In order to execute those activities, identified activities, our person, which is having energy, there are different types of energies, but Levin concentrated more on psychic energy because we are discussing about the psychology. So here, the inner person creates certain regions in order to make us execute. But he cannot directly execute. He has to depend on the psychological environment, that immediate layer, circle above P. Now, if you see bottom part, left side, there is P, around that there is, touching that there is environment, psychological environment. The environment is executor basically. It has a permeable membrane with the P. If you see, inner person cannot directly talk to this psychological environment because there is no boundary there. Here, this P plus E determines our behavior. Also, he built an equation because there is interaction between them. That for that interaction, he created a permeable boundary for interaction between these two. He calls that membrane also sometimes as a mesh. So whatever he discusses here, he discusses in terms of present moment, not about the past and the future. In the present moment, how many facts or divisions or regions are there in inner person targeted for execution? For corresponding regions are also created in the environment. Psychology, don't misunderstand with the physical environment. It is psychological environment. Physical environment is there. Outside this psychological environment, along with the social environment, that is called as foreign hull, non-psychological area. Please note that I repeat because it is very, very important to have clear understanding about this. There is P, within the P, two systems. One is inner person and PM, IP system and PM system. And in the PM system, again, two independent systems, perceptual system and motor system are there. In order to execute whenever need arises, like food, biological needs, or social needs, emotional needs, purchasing a car, for example, immediately corresponding region is created. Suppose you want to play games. For that playing games, you are well versed with chess, football, and kabaddi. For that, there will be three regions created. When it comes back to environment, psychological environment, this psychological environment also creates regions and subregions. Region is play, subregions are three, chess and football and kabaddi. So these subregions are created here. What is the difference between the regions that are there in inner person and the executive part, that is psychological environment, or all the regions are work alike? But in case of the inner person, there are two types. One is peripheral and central. So at any given point of time, our behavior is determined by P, person, and psychological environment, not physical environment or non-psychological environment. Even though he mentions about few things about this non-psychological environment, little priority is given by him. That is one of the criticisms we have to write at the end. So here, regarding the work also, different works are there. You will get priority. According to that, regions are created. The education part we will discuss separately. So these tasks are called here as the facts. Again, for each fact, one region is created also. Now, what is the relation? We'll see. Then comes the non-psychological environment, in which he says there are two systems. One is physical and social. There is a permeable membrane between P, a person, and environment. The studying of foreign hull is called psychological ecology. According to Levin, the life space is nothing but the totality, total, he is inspired by Gestalt, we discussed yesterday. We have to take each and every element of it. So what is there in the life space? It is psychological universe. It is talking about the cognitive thinking perspective is discussing here. The perception, attention, perception, memory, recalling, and problem solving, troubleshooting, decision making. So many issues is talking about. Around that, he is building a psychological universe. And in that psychological universe, there are psychological environment and person. So behavior is function of psychological environment and person, but not the physical and social and cultural environment. You should not write it. If you write it, you will get no marks. Please note this point. To predict the behavior we have to always know how many tasks you are undertaking now. What are the needs for you? How many tasks are there in inner P? That is prioritized tasks in the center C, in the peripheral P, and then the number of the regions in psychological environment E. That is the division of psychological environment into parts and identifying for them particular tasks and subtasks is called a differentiated environment. Similarly, in the inner P, the division also called as differentiated IP. Also differentiated person is the IP and PM. These two circles you have to write. Now, unified formula you have to remember. This type of formulas are given by Cattell 16 PF personality prediction or behavioral prediction. He rather had a similar equation. And Rotter also developed behavioral potentiality, what could be the behavior. He also gave based on the expectancy and the behavior environment. Okay. Now, these structures are heterogeneous, not homogeneous, because they are separated. And we have to remember that there is a dependency and intercommunication. Entire explanation of personality and process are explained through the structural concept or spatial representation. These words you have to use while writing about the structure of personality as told by.
Sir, please explain P is equal to F, F is equal to P, sir.
Yeah, here there are two aspects in the life space, that psychological space where we work, we think, we execute through the mental processes. They are divided into person and psychological environment. Person is having perceptual system and inner person system where certain processes are initiated, and motor system where abilities are there. So the actual person is having beliefs, values, abilities, and needs. And then he says that in order to understand a person, we have to understand by understanding the environment, psychological environment. He means psychological. And in order to understand the psychological environment, we have to know as a function of personality, having inner person, IP, PM, perceptual system, and motor system. That's how we have to, depending on the areas that are there in the current moment, that we have to take into consideration. P is function of E, E is function of P. One is known, other can be expected. Putting together, because two variables are there for prediction of the behavior, both put together as a functional, we can prepare to make a formula and predict the behavior. This is about the structural part. Now I will post a few, just I will explain this. The relationships always known from nearness and remote dimension, meaning that in the IP, when placing a region close together influence one upon the other great extent. The distal active regions influence not with much strength. With weak strength, they will influence others. Those who are having proximal regions influence, because we discuss the tension, how it is transferred to the other regions, energy, how it is transferred to different regions, we will see in the dynamic part. So, if the number of intervening regions are more, then the influence will be less. Then is firmness and weakness dimension. Depending on the thickness of the boundary, I told earlier, if very thin line is there, it represents a weak boundary. Thick line is there, represents a strong boundary, but it is impermeable, means less information flows from that area. It depending on the pathology also it gets influenced. So now we will see now we have seen life space, regions, cells, and how they act. We will see. We always move in this life space when we are dealing with the world. Our behavior depends on that. That is what it says. So it is always dynamic. Dynamic personality, we have dynamics of personality, we will see now. I will post it in the group. Please hold on. Let me copy. Once you know these two pictures, it is easy for you to write this question in examination. No personality. Just one. Got it. Dynamics of personality, Levin. I will just write Levin so that we can download. How the Kutte-Levin explained the dynamics of personality? Once, twice, thrice, 4 times also you have to read in order to understand it, to comprehend it. Very more complex theory.
It is little bit confusing, sir.
Yeah, once you read once I tell the dynamics of personality, it gets some more clarity, not full clarity.
Okay. If any important points are also there, please share.
All
Sir.
I wrote as a short comments.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Read the diagram, you will know all the points. Okay. Now dynamics of personality will see. Please enlarge that picture. Dynamics personality, how the different the elements of our person are will act in order to exhibit the behavior. From that behavior, how we can predict. This is the essence of this. Let me check. We need to block. Okay. Oh, now let me see. All of you, please see that picture I posted. In the middle part where needs is there, that is the person, total person. The middle part is where needs is there, that is inner person. Outside of it is PM, that is where there are certain interlinked thread is created around that. That is called PM. P is the boundary, that is the boundary of the person which interacts with the psychological environment. Please note that interperson is not having direct connection. Permeable membrane is not there. IP and E are not connected, but in between there is PM which is connected. So the personality is ultimately connected with the person is connected with the psychological element, but not inner person. Please note that. Then around that there is psychological environment in which we are seeing vector, force, valence, goal. That we will discuss. And there is a boundary for the life space. Life space is nothing but psychological environment and inner person. And then in the PM, it is shown, abilities are shown, that locomotor action will be there. Now let us, just I will read the sentence that is there in the book. Maybe first I will read, at the end also I will read. The sight of a child is there. A child passes a candy store looks in the window, wish he had some candy. The sight of a candy arouses the need. There you see in inner person, there is word need. Okay. Simultaneously, there is a word process. In order to fulfill these needs, the P will allocate energy. There is a word called as energy. Energy allocation will be there. This energy will be distributed among all the elements. Immediately it creates disequilibrium. There is no equality of energy or conservation of energy in the system. Once that need is fulfilled, that energy is released and equality is established or conservation is established, equilibrium is established in the system. Equilibrium is energy conservation happens there. And along with this release of energy, there will be tension created by the IP, and it creates certain regions within IP. Inner IP, there are P and C, peripheral cells and central cells. They got created depending on your need and its drive and energy. This tension is also distributed to the neighboring cells or other cells, as we have discussed about the dimensions. This then tension also contribute to the disequilibrium. This tension has to be released in goal is releasing this tension. And another goal is releasing the energy where it was allocated to particular region. So in order to release the tension and energy, we need to fulfill the needs. In order to fulfill the needs, certain processes are initiated. These processes are dynamic. Now coming back here, the sentence, once the boy saw candy, he develops need. It is coming from psychological environment or physical environment. Can anybody tell? It is from the physical environment. What foreign hull, the foreign hull area mentioned by Kutlevin. So now now energy is released, and thereby tension is aroused in inner person. But what is the tension that really allocated to regions, divides into the region allocated. This tension is allocated there. What is that? There is a goal of wanting candy. So this is fulfilled through processes. What are the processes? There are all cognitive processes. Different cognitive processes are initiated. Then it assigns certain value to the regions, whether to seek the goal. Ramasita madam, please mute yourself. Okay, now coming to this life space, valency, I will discuss, just to listen this one. Certain positive valence means the boy requires, needs the food, that candy. That's why there is goal-seeking behavior is established. Valence is positive. Once this goal-seeking, that positive attitude is there, that positive valence is there, then the energy in the psychological environment, force in the psychological environment gets a direction. That direction is either towards goal or against the goal, or driving towards the goal, or restraining the force towards acting towards the goal. So this is what happens. Now coming back, step by step we'll see. from the social factor, that is the foreign hull, the need arises mostly, not only foreign, but from internal also, innate desires also stimulate that need. So first step is motivation, that is need in P, that is there in the person, that can be given in the inner person. It includes not only hunger, thirst, job, spouse, car, task, traveling, different issues are there. They could be for internal change of our memory, recalling, something like that, and achieving all those innate or life-sustaining needs, and also changing to the external stimulation. He says that there are two types of needs. One is innate needs and quasi needs. Quasi needs are specific intentions of the tasks. For example, you get hunger, you want to eat, whether to eat in a hotel or in the outside in a food cart. So many options are there. They are nothing but the specific intention that can be called as a cue also. Next, once that need arisen, that there is a release of psychic energy by the P. Immediately, energy imbalance happens, that is called as disequilibrium. Once disequilibrium is there, the P makes inner P to increase the tension in the area allocated for achieving that particular need in the inner person. Inner person is directly giving the processes for education. So these different processes are different areas. As we told, for the food, there are different, three options are there. For three options, there will be three areas created in the inner P. The tension is distributed there. Now, once the tension is created, this organism thinks that we should, first thing is, we should try to equalize the tension with the surroundings. So it always try to equate individually with the entire regions or sub-regions put together, they may get equated. So ABCD combination may be equated in EFGH. Such a mechanism happens. So number one is trying to equalize. Second is reducing the tension using processes. Processes includes perceiving, remembering, recalling, thinking, problem solving, etc. Suppose you want to remember a name that I tell, Kurt Levin, it is how to remember. For that remembrance, you will be putting lot of regions. Similarly, in the present moment, it talks now. I am telling so many issues related to Kurt Levin's theory. What is happening in your mind? Let us apply present moment to our class only. What is happening in your mind? Your mind or a person is creating certain regions in the inner person and creating certain tension that I should learn what teacher is telling. And I have to note it. I should not miss single word. I should do single concept because I want to score good marks if I get that in the question. I need clarity. I should not miss any one of the words uttered. I need to record. I need to otherwise write the notes. Certain issues, tasks you will develop. For those tasks, your personality will create certain regions in the inner person, simultaneously regions in the psychological environment E. So once you get that, you have to remember, write, record, there will be tensions. What your inner person says, I should reduce the tension as much as possible. For that, what it does, it adopts certain processes like writing notes, recording it verbally or videoing, certain issues, certain tasks you will develop and have them. Those will become the regions. And each region is having a tension there. Suppose you are adopting only one of them or two of them or three of them, all three areas will get the tension and get the energy. The goal is now reduce that process by adopting that. Once you start recording, you will get the feeling that I'm recording, I won't miss anything, I can read them again and again. So then once that is fulfilled, this energy is released, or among the three, that attention is equated. So this is how the relationships are also established in inner peace. Now let us see the process of fulfillment. Once the tension or motivation or need is there, P now connects to E. Psychological level. Now P task is mostly done. Right? Now P is now connecting to E, that is psychological environment, not foreign help, and invokes two things, that is valence and vector. Valence is the value given to each region, positive, negative. Suppose I like, for example, food is there. Suppose I ask you to record, video it, but your cell phone is not working, or you want to see the class what I am telling, your cell phone or computer is not working, then because it is not possible, so it develops a negative value for that, because you cannot do it. Suppose you have a cell phone or some other means to establish it, it establishes a positive value. That is called as valency. Valency sometimes leads to conflict. We will discuss later. Okay. So positive, negative attitude or value. Now let us not put it as an attitude, put it as a value. Valency is a value. Suppose in a counseling session, a person comes to you, what you see? You see the mood of the patient as a mental status examination, how he talks, how he looks, how he behaves, how he moves his hands and others. Depending on that, you are trying to understand the mood. Mood will have valency. That mood is positive or negative. We have to suppose two of the friends are writing the case of the client who comes to your clinic. Then you say the next person who is sitting, no, you are telling that he is very active, but you see he is having negative mood, meaning there is negative valency. Okay, then there is this valency is there in E. Where is that E? In the E, there is valency there nearer the goal. If that favorable food is given to you, you try to seek it. That will be valency will become positive. If the aversive food is given to you, you don't like sweets, somebody offers sweets, then avoidance will come for that. What is the valence you give? Negative valence. This is the valency that drives the force with which you have to act. Now we will resist, or towards the goal you will try to act. Driving force or restraining force, two things will come from the valency in the psychological environment, that is called as vector. Now this valency, there are positive, negative, positive, and that leads to the conflict. We will discuss in the next slide. Now coming back here, what is there? Now having understood the valency, so for example, dog is there. Neighbor's dog is there. It is very fearsome. By seeing that, you go away. But my friend, who is a lover of the dogs, goes and touches it. Now, what is the valency? My valency is because I am fearing it, negative, and my friend's valency is positive. He tries to approach it, I try to avoid it. Depending on that, the force is given, that is vector is generated here. That vector says that I am having fear, no. Immediately I try to resist it. That is called vector is restraining force, and try to build up a barrier. Now in the case of my friend who is approaching, instead of avoiding, that person will develop driving force. That is positive vector is there. Driving force is there towards the goal. Now, having seen valence and vector is a force. Now this force, what it pushes? It pushes its neighbor, that is PM. What is there in PM? Motor system. It tells the motor system to execute, go, drive, go to hotel, pack the food, come back, we will eat. Something like that motor activities are taken in each and every, we implement it day to day. So whether driving towards or against the goal is the same point. There will be multiple vectors at a time. Locomotor action, we have seen that example. Now we have read it. Now, regarding the fulfillment, he says, also there is a balance. He says that there are three types of fulfillments. Three states are hunger state, satiation state, and oversatiation. You eat it, still you feel hunger. That is positive. Positive means you want the food. Want means positive. Balance is positive. Towards the goal, still it is there. Satiation is there, zero. Neutral balance will be there. No more food is there. Oversaturation is there. You are eating over. You don't want further the goal. That is a negative. That will be there. Now, tension is once the fulfillment is there, tension is equalized. Output of energy is stopped flowing into the other parts of the person or psychological environment. Then once the equity of the energy established in the entire P, equilibrium is established. This is the dynamics of the personality. Please see, don't get confused. The only thing is, now I will read this boy's case again so that you can clearly understand. The sight of the candy arouses a need in the boy, and this need does three things. It releases energy and arouses tension in the inner personal region. It confers a positive valence upon the region in which candy is located, and it creates...
You're reading it from the readers.
Yeah, page number 176. Under the locomotion, it is there.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
It confers positive valence. That means he requires food. There is positive attitude is there. So now he is approaching. Here you have to use the word approaching. Approach towards the food is the requirement. Requirement is there. Positiveness, positive valence is there. Then it creates the force that pushes the child in the direction of the candy. This is the sequence of how the functioning of the process of personality is there, which is called as dynamics of personality. Okay, let us now. Levin gave about different issues like learning. He gave out organizational development, organizational change. There are different models based on unified feeling. Let us not discuss all of them. In organizational behavior also it comes. Freeze, unfreeze, such model is there. And learning also. What is learning? Can anybody tell now from this concept of learning? Learning is very simple to explain in terms of Levin. It is any change in the person, inner person, perceptual system, psychological environment is learning. That's all. Very simple. This is what he told. It looks good. More appropriate. Many learning theories we read. Learning concept is very excellent in this case, theoretically. Okay, now coming back to the definition we have, life space out in life space is also called psychology. We have seen that. Equation, you have seen that. Three functions are there. P is function of E, E is function of P. Behavior, prediction of the behavior is function of P and E. Three functions you have to write in this. Now, dynamics of personality also we have seen. Lastly, nothing there in this. So, development of personality, very briefly we will see it. In the development of personality, he did not tell about the ages. Age-wise, he did not give major characteristics of development he had given. One is variety. As we grow, our behavior diversified and they get increased. And just like a bell curve, it also comes down as we grow in the old age. Initially low, old age also low. In between, it increases, slowly decreases. This is variety concept. Second one is organization. all the activities become increasingly complex. So some word you have to tell increasingly complex. Next one is they are organized in hierarchical form. What is important? What is more important, less important, like that. What are to be blocked, what are to be, how the force should be given for this type of blocks in a hierarchy, one block after another are created in accordance with the age. So these are organization. He says that this also subjected to the change, but it becomes well integrated if interdependency among these activities are there. More realistic integration will be. Then extension of area, not only to particular area, but to as we grow, it is from family, neighborhood, friends, school, occupational, cultural, so many activities will be areas. This is called as extensivity. Then there, as we grow, there will be interdependence of all these activities. There will be integration. Then there will be, as we mature, we try to integrate all our behavior activities, but it is subjected to fluctuations. You should not miss that part. Then degree of realism, more imaginative content gets reduced as we grow. In the childhood, more imagination could be there. This is degree of realism. Then he says, as we have seen, variety, complex, extensity, organization, integration, realism. He says that differentiation will be there of past, present, future, and also reality and unreality, true and false, logical differentiation we make, time differentiation we make, and maturity-wise, reality, unreality. So increasing differentiation, number of parts gets increased. This is what he says. The regions get increased. Otherwise, here, regions, because each task is a fact. For each fact, there is a region allocated in the IP as well as E. So the diagram is also given in the book. The subdivision also given. Then there will be same thing he explained. Then stages of development. It is a continuous process. It is very difficult to identify discrete process as discussed by other people regarding the stages of development. So these activities are, with the stage, they get relatively stable. In the childhood, they are relatively stable. As we go in the adulthood, they become more stable. So he says that age scale is not a requirement. Then regression. He says that there are two aspects takes place. We will discuss in the I think okay, not good. Earlier form of behavior in the life. Retrogression means refer to return to, in case of any disappointment, we try to go back to the retrogression is returning to earlier form of behavior in the life. Regression is going to the primitive form. That means early childhood, below 2 years or 3 years, will go. Suppose you are of 40 years now, you will go back to 30 years is called as retrogression. Going back to childhood is called as regression. So what causes regression? He says that it is the frustration that causes the regression. That is going back. This is a psychoanalytical model. There is also, it is there given by the Freud. Now, just I will review. There are three elements, components we discuss: structure of the personality, and the dynamics of personality, and development of personality. Structure of personality, just the acronyms I will give. One is P, another one is E, another one is IP, another one is PM. And foreign hull, non-psychological field, psychological field, psychological universe, that is life space. So behavior is function of psychological environment and person. Please don't write that it is physical environment or social environment. Generally, in other theories, environment means cultural, social aspect come. Then in the the dynamics, how need arises, from how energy released, tension is increased, equilibrium is required, and then how the valency is determined. Depending on the valency, the force or vector, direction of the force will be the vector means direction of the direction. Vector of the force will be there. It could be positive means towards the goal, negative means against the goal. There will be barrier to it. Obstructions will be there. More obstruction, frustration will be there. More frustration, you go to regression. So this is about Levin's construct theory. Now we go for Donald Miller.
Sir, please explain 178 child and adult
Yes,
picture, sir.
dynamics of personality. Once the boy sees in the foreign hall, he sees a candy or ice cream.
Okay.
Then that ice cream generates a need in you. In the
Okay.
that need generates tension and releases energy by P person. That energy increases tension in the inner person in order to create a drive to accomplish it. For that, it creates regions of work within it. And then in order to execute those, the cells are having processes. In order to execute those processes, it needs the psychological environment. In the psychological environment, there are valence and vector. That is taking decision on to work for it, to eat the ice cream or not. If ice cream you go for it, then positive valence is there. It generates. It asks you to use your energy or force. You don't call it energy, your strength or abilities, whether to use it or not. If you are using for it or against it, depending on that, your psychomotor system will work and you will fulfill the need, and energy released, tension released, equilibrium established.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, Dollard and Miller stimulus response theory, very easy to behavioral therapies. Behavioral approaches or theories are very easy to understand. I will briefly try to discuss within half an hour. Very simple one also. Now we will go for Dollard Miller.
Sir, which page number, sir?
Unit number 17, page 150 in my book, old book.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Dollard and Miller, you have to know this little story of the sequences. There is psychoanalysis of Freud and neo-Freudians. They concentrated, Freudian concentrated more on unconscious forces, and the neo-Freudian concentrated on social forces, environmental forces, cognitive forces, and conscious forces. So up to Erik Erikson, we have seen that. Then came the behavioral therapist. They say that nothing inside, everything outside. There is empty box. And every stimulus will create a reaction. In order to make you what repeatedly do the positive or desired or anticipated behaviors, you give the reinforcements. And in order to give up or inhibit them, you give punishments. So he developed that theory, reinforced punishment and stimulus and response theories. The association happens once you give the reinforcements to a particular response. The association between the response and stimuli, this consequence means reinforcement. We're getting a sweet for doing an act. That association gives stimulus response. Now, now these two theories are combined by Dollard and Miller. It is a combination of psychoanalysis of Freud and behavioral theories. In that, he is influenced by Skinner and Hull. Hull has given a drive theory of learning, and Skinner has given the SR model or operant conditioning theory. Now, from Dollard, not only told that inner unconscious forces, also the external forces of SR relationship, he also gave cognitive processes in order to decide what to do whether to eat candy or not, there will be higher cognitive function. He incorporated cognitive element. You see, that led to development of social cognitive learning theories of Bandura, Rotter, and Mitchell. Please remember this concept. Also, he also rather inspired Kelly for cognitive theory. So Rotter also gave cognitive element. Bandura also gave cognitive elements. And what he says, inner person, there is a reciprocal determination where person, behavior, environment interact one with other. In the person, there are cognitive forces, right? He gave it. Rotter also gave, there are expectations of what is the reinforcement you are giving after doing this work. There is expectation. Expectation is a cognitive element that Rotter incorporated. Not only that, a person develops whether the achievements are according to him, achievements are his own abilities, or are there any contribution from the environment that we call as locus control. Similarly, Bandura added self-system and self-efficacy system. Bandura's self-system says that it has three elements. Once you do a task, you will observe it and evaluate it, whether you are, as per your targets, you are reaching or not, or as per your parent or social expectation, you are reaching or not. Depending on that, you yourself will give reinforcement of punishment. This is the theory of Bandura. Bandura self-system or structure of personality. So I am combining all the behavioral personality theories, very easy to understand it. So in case of Skinner, he had given reinforcement schedule, whether to give instantly or ratio basis after every fourth term, fifth one, or interval of time. He had given a schedule. Depending on that.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. You have made a slide even for this, sir. You can share this in the group.
I am telling extempore.
Okay.
For all the behavioral therapists. All the three are there. All the three combinedly, I am because this is the last class.
Yeah,
So,
you will share this in the group, like you have prepared the slide or no anything.
So now stimulus response.
Sorry to disturb, sir.
No. So the Dollard and Miller combined Freud's analysis, and that is first wave theories. Second wave theories of behavioral therapies. Behavioral theories. He combined this and gave his theory of stimulus response theory. But he included cognitive. What is third wave therapies? Third wave theories or third wave approaches. We combined all the three are there in him. That's why we are discussing at the last so that you can easily understand the concept. He also discussed about psychopathology, also discussed about psychotherapy, also discussed about the conflicts, aggression, frustration. Very elaborately he had given, but he had given in 1940s. That's why there are certain limitations. So, yeah, but he covered all holistically. Now coming to what are the influences on him? Another point I would like to tell is from behavioral and humanistic, there is one person called, yesterday we have discussed it. Kelly is in between humanistic theories and cognitive theories. He combined them. So, and also Gestalt approach is combined by Kutt-Lewin. Okay. So this is how we have to the waves or the different theories, how they are developed. If you have a flow, then you can easily understand and remember different theories. Now, let us see about the Dollar-Miller's stimulus response personality theory. It influenced holistic drive theory of learning and also the Freudian psychoanalysis that we discussed. Now we'll see. What we will discuss now is he says that his goal is the vigor of natural science labs. That scientific approach should be there. Experiment should be there. He experimented on the rats. And also vitality of psychoanalysis, unconscious forces we have to consider. Also says that fact of the society and culture also to be taken into consideration to build a theory of personality, understand the personality, and if any mistakes are there or psychological problems are, they have to be set right. So a goal is having three components: unconscious forces, conscious forces, and facts of the culture or environment. Also the scientific temper, experimentation. This is, and then he says that in order to develop the personality, he says that as the is inspired by the Hull, who gave drive theory. Once a need comes, that need gives a motivation. That motivation creates a drive. That drives create a force to you. It gives direction to you. So they impel you to act. He has taken that one and developed his personality theory. So he says that personality is essentially a system of habits or collection of habits. Otherwise, personality development is nothing but learning habits and organizing the habits. So his learning theories are emerged from mostly from behaviorist, operant conditioning, and operant conditioning, classical conditioning, this and construct theories of cognitive, all everybody developed with the he also contributed to it. So he gave 1941 social learning and imitation theory. He says that, as told by Hull, there are four components to learning process. One is drive, second one is CUE, this is there in the book. Third one is response. Fourth one is the reinforcement. Fifth one is the imitation. Now let us see what is this drive. Drive impels you into the action. Drive is one which impels you into the action. Drive is having, he says that drive is having two characters. One is there are innate drives and secondary drives. Innate are including hunger, thirst, sex, breathing, etc., etc. And secondary are learned, which can be expressed. These are two characters. Another character is it assigns energy. It gives intensity to your actions. So it motivates you to act depending on its strength. He says that it is the strength of the die that determines your action. So it is the strength that gives you energy. That strength is can be measured as intensity, high intensity, low intensity, moderate intensity. That he explains that in conflicts, also in the personality development. Then what are the cues are the hints generally, which are pictures. Suppose you want to eat, you have a desire, you have a need for food, hunger is there, you need food. For that there will be a drive for you. Hunger is in a drive. That drive, you will see certain, in the outside or inside, you will see Zomato. You will book, if inside you see, you will book it, or a hotel you will go out, or a food cart you will go out, 5-star, 3-star. These options are nothing but cues. Cues are in this case, there are eating places or working. They gives you, Q gives you the direction to go, how to go, where to go. These concepts are developed here. Once, not only that, this Q gives distinctiveness. Suppose you are, how you differentiate between the food, whether to eat non-veg or veg. Again, in that non-veg, different varieties. In veg, there are different varieties. So that distinction and the distinctness is given to the food, not only the food, the place where you want to eat also, depending on the attraction. So Q gives two things. One is the direction. Second one is the distinctiveness. Third one is the response. It is the response that is the behavior actually. Even though behind that there is Q, and Q is nothing but the, otherwise we can call it as a reinforcement. Q is also can be called as a reinforcement. So this, depending on that, you will be acting. Your behavior is again two types. One is internal and external. One is direct, another one is indirect. Direct means you will directly purchase what you want. For example, you wanted to purchase shoe and socks. You went to purchase and purchased a shoe and came back. That is direct. But after some time coming home, you saw shoe, but there is no socks. Otherwise, you went to the next shop to purchase something else, and you get recollect that you need to purchase. That is called that. The one cue makes you to remember other task. That is called as indirect response. Then you will purchase it. Direct response, indirect response. Directly you purchase. Indirectly you get to remember. You recollect it and purchase. Here he says two aspects. One is internal and external. External means you will directly act. Internal means here comes the cognitive process. Please remember, here he explained about the cognitive process. He also called it as higher mental process. Miller explained that individual responses with the environment, in this case food or the hotel, are two types. One is direct response and another one is indirect response. So you act according to the fear of punishment or with the appreciation. But when you go out and you wanted to purchase the potatoes and for chips, but you fail in the initial, so then you recollect after seeing the potatoes in the shop and purchase the chips also. This is indirect. This type of mental cognitive process happens. No other behavioral therapist discussed about the higher mental process. These are the decision making aspect is there given by Dollar and Miller. This is a very vital point in his theory. So now responses just you have seen. He says that these responses are having hierarchy. Hierarchy of responses is there. And as a child, our needs are limited and our responses are also limited. At that time, initially, we need the caring, food, dressing, washing. They are limited. In that, more priority is given for the food, for the survival. This is called as in the childhood, whatever is developed. All these type innate things will have the hierarchy. This is called IHR, innate hierarchy responses. Second one, as we grow up, there will be multiplicity of needs, multiplicity of cues. We know different sources where your need is fulfilled. So that gives you a complicated hierarchy that is of the responses. From that you will be choosing. You may be dropping, altering, creating responses. It is nothing but the development of the personality. It is more dependent on the responses. So there would be dominant responses, less dominant responses. There will be hierarchy of this, and then we call it as resultant hierarchy of responses, RHR, resultant hierarchy of responses. Then comes the reinforcement. What are reinforcements? Reinforcement here is not a reward or punishment, but fulfilling your need or reduction of the drive. Here he says a habit is formed if you repeatedly reduce the drive. His focus, how? By with the reinforcement. That means fulfilling the drive. He says that habit is formed with the repeated fulfillment of the drive. Ultimately, combination of such habits form the person. So here he says that there is a connection between Q and response, C and R. Please remember, don't write as S and R, stimulus and response of Skinner. Here, actually Q is also a stimulus, but you have to write it as there is an establishment of the associative connection between the C and R with the help of this reinforcement. The strength of reinforcement high, then CR is strong and habit formation is strong. Learning is strong. That is what he says. So he says that in order to understand, give the learning to the person, you have to understand the circumstances under which these responses, cues are connected. So place is also, the condition or the circumstances are also important in this personality development or learning or habit formation. They're all part and parcel for the Dollard's theory of personality. Now, please remember, circumstances are the external environment. Internally in the circle, you can write C and R. So it gives clear picture about. So ultimately, this theory, we can say that one is first you get idea to eat. Then you will see hotel. Then you go there. Then you eat. Then you fulfill the hunger. This is the just words. Want, notice, do, get. This is the acronyms. You can write it and write example. This is there in the book also. In page number 152, you mentioned that. Want, notice, do, get is the sequence. So hierarchy of responses we have seen. And then he says here, what is that which is having all these four features? He says that will be more predominant force for teaching or making habit formation. He says that it is the fear and the anxiety that causes, they are not only causing distress, but also motivation forces, because they are having all the four content in that. It is having a drive, it is having a cue, it is having a response, it is having a reinforcement. So what is that fear as a drive? It impels, that fear impels you to behave in some way. Because of the fear of punishment, child will do the homework, that is sense. Then fear also often tell you to, it gives a cue. Cue is nothing but stimulant here. So there are different stimulus. According to that stimulus, you will be acting. Learn to respond to a certain internal signals by denouncing them as fear. Then response is there. You may escape it or face it or freeze yourself. So many options are there. Generally, he says that this fear generates defense mechanism. Who told defense mechanism? Freud. So he is also influenced by psychoanalysis. That's why he gave defense mechanism. We'll discuss that. So there is 15 minutes now. Now reinforcement. Fear and anxiety are not reinforcement rewards for themselves, but lack of them is a reinforcement. That you have to write it that. What is that? Fear is a reinforcement, or getting fear is a accomplishing that is a reinforcement? No. Avoiding that. The lack of it is a reinforcement. He did an experiment, 2-room chamber. A rat is colored into dark and white. In the white room chamber, he introduces the rat and gives the electric shock, and the rat escapes into the dark room, and he does this repeatedly. After that, he gives the cat. Then suddenly he introduces the rat into the dark room. Even though there is no shock, all the fear symptoms that rat exhibits. After some time, you introduce a liver and give the shock, it escapes. It learns how to manipulate the liver, that wheel, and escapes into the dark room. It learns it. And then after a few days, he introduces a liver, and it learns, it extinguishes the habit of using the liver, using the wheel. So extinguishing is the one of the elements of the learning. So that's on the theory he developed this. On that experiment he developed this. He says that ultimately no symptoms are there, not because it is escaping, not because it is using the liver or wheel, but because the punishment is reduced. It is because the fear is reduced that is behaving like that. This is about fear as an acquired trait. Yeah. Next comes the what we have discussed. Let us review just for a few minutes. We have discussed about personality development. In that, habits are the system of the personality and how they are learned. As for the Hull, he got inspired and gave drive, cue, response, reinforcement, and reinforcement hierarchy. Then he says imitation is also given. I think it is not. Okay. In generalization is that you will be exhibiting the same response to different similar stimuli. That is generally happens. Extinguishing, you have seen that. And also, once you forget that, but even the if continuous reinforcements are not given, you forget that. So then when you are reintroduced to the reinforcement and the circumstances, you start exhibiting the same response. So these are, we read the behaviorism, the same characteristics he explained here also. So also discrimination is there. He will try to discriminate. Suppose a boy is given a sweet which he likes, and after some time doing the homework, you give another one what you want, a toy which you won't like it. He will differentiate and he won't exhibit the same response. That differentiation is there. Generalization is there. Suppose a boy likes a sweet and the preference analysis is there. In preference, he likes apple and banana. If you give the apple, he acts, does the homework. If you give banana also, he does that. Generalization will be. Generalization, extinction, and discrimination are part of behavioral therapies. We also discussed them in this. Spontaneous recovery is also there. After forgetting, you introduce it. Just rat does it after a few days. After reintroducing, he exhibited the same symptoms. Now let us see the imitation. What he gave? Imitation is he inspired Bandura, Rotter, Mitchell, others. What is there? He says that not only the habit formation, reinforcements will help, punishments will help, but also observation also help the child or others to learn habits and behavior. What he says that there are three types. One is, he says same behavior. Suppose a class is there, after the class, bell is 1.5 hours is over, bell is rung in the classes. A new boy who is enrolled and sitting in the class first time will follow the people who are going out of the class after 1.5 hours. That is same behavior he exhibits. Second one is, suppose a boy gets low marks and he try to see the person who is getting more marks and approaches him, try to imitate him. How he is studying, what is the priority planning, imitations. That is a second one. Third one is matching behavior. That is, he try to identify, he wants to get the first class and he gets the low marks. He goes to the topper and try to seek the help of him. In that, there will be difficulty of not meeting the capabilities of the meritorious person. So these are three types of things. But even though it is not elaborate as given by Rotter and Bandura, but he gave hints to them to develop further. So in the theory, not only SR model, a stimulus response model, there is also cognitive process. You have to write these 2 points. Cognitive process and social learning, 2 things are added in that. Unlike Skinner and others in the behavioral therapies. behavioral theory. So now you see now we have seen SR model response, all the 4 elements. Also seen the cognitive process, decision making, direct indirect responses, and social learning through the imitation we have discussed. Now we see the conflicts. This is where he is more influenced by Freud. He says that the conflicts, what creates conflicts? If a person is forced to do 2 similar but incompatible responses at the same time, it creates conflict in him. He gave 4 types of conflicts. One is approach conflict, avoidance conflict, approach avoidance conflict, double approach avoidance conflict. Now you see the approach conflict means he wants to go to the excursion and also having another desire, need to play with the friends. So in approach conflict, there is not actually conflict. He can accomplish both. So he says that what are the solutions? One after other, you can do it, or depending on your strength of the need or the drive, you will be opting the one first to do. Then avoid. You don't want to do homework. Simultaneously, you will be get punishment. So you don't want punishment also from your father. 2 negatives are there. That creates a conflict in you. Though a child try to avoid both, but not possible. That conflict creates the problem in it. Next one is approach avoidance conflict. So here you want a job, also want job satisfaction, but you got a job which is approachable, and avoidance, that is, there is a boring job. So now the problem is approach and avoidance. Now depending on the strength of the drive, you will opt it. But it goes on giving a conflict to you. All depends on this. But your priority, if you are having a priority for money, then you will go for the job, even though it is not, there is no job satisfaction. Again, ultimately, again, it says strength of the drive. Next one is double approach avoidance. There are good and bad points for 2 goals. For example, company A is there, company B is there. A is nearer to you, low income. B is far away from you, good income. So good and bad things are there. You need from these 2. You have to choose one company. This is the conflict in you. So when this is about conflict theory, he also discussed about Freud's Oedipus complex and Electra complex, how boy likes the mother, how boy wants to initially likes father and mother. Subsequently, boy likes mother. Certain reasons he explains under double conflict approach, double approach and avoidance. So now comes he also says that there will be defense mechanism. When that anxiety is more, the person tries to do defense mechanism. So just like a boy, you don't want punishment or do the homework. What he does, he avoids both. So he tries to see the defense mechanism like displacement. He diverts his attention and plays outside. Such things are there. So when a person wants to achieve the goal or the need, he says that he developed and obstructions are there in the efforts. Miller gave frustration aggression hypothesis. They say that if frustration is there in achieving one goal, a repeated preventions or the hindrances from the external forces are there, then the person develops the frustration. As a mark of frustration, in order to subside it, he adopts a catharsis. And as a catharsis, he build up of the build-up frustration, he will resort to the aggression. So this is the hypothesis made, but there are people who criticize it, saying that not only the obstructions or hindrances to his efforts, but also insults, unpleasant environment, injustice, discrimination, so many social discrimination, so many things are there. Anxiety also contributed. And another criticism is that there are individual differences. Some people tolerate more, some people tolerate less of the frustration. That will also play important role. This is the criticism of the frustration. Lastly, we'll see about the pathology. So pathology, I think it is not frustration. Yeah, frustration, aggression is there. So he says here, there are three elements are there. The frustration is directly proportional to the level of drive or strength of the drive. Higher the strength of the drive and obstruction is there, frustration will be more. So then comes if partial obstruction is there in relation to they are also proportional. Partial obstruction is there, partial frustration. Partial frustration leads to partial aggression. Similarly, complete obstruction leads to complete frustration, leads to the complete aggression. Then third element, he says that there is a cumulative effect of small frustrations ultimately exploding and causing the aggression. These are the basic elements, but aggression can be subsided or temporarily with it is inversely proportional to the punishment from the parents or law. Also, the degree of inhibitions imposed by the culture and society. This is about frustration, aggression hypothesis, short essay could be there. So this is what causes all this is unconscious mind. So here he says that we will see what psychopathology develops. He say initially they gave learning theory, personality theory, and social psychology, social learning, and cognitive processing. These three gave, and subsequently they focused on the personality, maladaptive personality development. Miller and Donald told the abnormal personality in a person developed as a result of conflicts, repression, and reinforcement. We discussed about the conflicts that also leads to the abnormal personality, especially avoidance. Avoidance is more prominent in that. Secondly, due to the repression or unconscious forces. Here Freud is there. Freud influence is there. He says that drives and cues and responses about which person has never been aware. He has not known how to handle the situation, how to behave it. Then repression will be there. We're going back to the old behaviors. So repression of repressive thought that are not under the verbal control of the person. Second one is reinforcement. Conflict we have already seen. Now repression we have seen the unknown situation come. We try to adapt the what he knows in the earlier ages. Now he says reinforcement. If mishandled reinforcements are there, it also causes the psychopathology. He says that in the childhood, parents contribute to the development of curiosity because they mishandle the situations like feeding, toilet training, and aggression control, and sex execution. In these four aspects, they use more coercions and mishandle by creating fears. He is against creating fear. The teaching should be in the free environment, he says. He has already given fear as a learning tool. We discussed about that. So once this mishandling there will be anxiety and guilt development. This is about psychopathology. Conflicts develop, unknown situations create the repression, and psychopathology, reinforcement create anxiety and the guilt. Now, what is the psychopathology therapy they have developed? They are not very serious about it, but focusing more on the traditional aspects, and the treatment also not a very cumbersome. It is straightforward. They say that they have given three fortunate, saying that a therapist should be sympathetic, just like Carl Rogers what he told, and very good listener, permissive listener, so that he gives the confidence to the client to express his feelings. Third one is a client, the therapist should understand the patient feelings. not only present feeling, but also how they developed. What are the forces behind it? Are they conflicts? Are they repressions? Are they mishandling in the past? Depending on that, Donner and Miller say that maladaptive behaviors are learned. These are all learned. So they can be unlearned. There should be therapy. He says, what are the tools for that? He says that he emphasized the important on identifying the cues and circumstances and modifying those cues and the circumstances associated with the undesirable behaviors. Please remember, cues are nothing but reinforcement, and he also always concentrated on the circumstances or the social situations where this maladaptive behavior is developed by the persons. This is about overall Dollar-Miller stimulus response theory. We overall picture of all behavioral theories we have given. Bandura's also some important points we have covered. Also, the Skinner's operant conditioning based personality theory we have seen. Also, now we have completed Dollar-Miller stimulus response theory. So this is very simple. You can easily remember also. Comparatively, I explained that one. So our core syllabus is over. Now we have covered almost all the units, and all the best for your examinations. Prepare notes, discuss yourself, analyze previous papers.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, could you please give us some important questions, sir?
No, you can get the previous papers. No, you have to analyze. Last 3 years papers, you get it and analyze which chapter wise and analyze and which questions are getting repeated. Like that, you have to analyze and read. But having complete grip is very important. Mind map important compared to analysis helps you.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, how to come out of that regression and repression, sir?
Hello, sir.
Childhood experiences.
There are different therapies are there.
Okay.
Psychoanalysis is one thing.
Hello.
Cognitive behavioral therapy is second one. Hello? Anybody? You can use cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
For that, if you see cognitive behavioral therapy, initially, there is a flow. First is your adverse childhood experiences will be there. They create maladaptive thoughts and beliefs. And those maladaptive behaviors gives you ifs and buts. If I don't do what others say, if I do it, what others say.
Sir,
So,
remember, sir.
like that, so it will bring forth the previous regressive elements to the fore, and rationally we counter them.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, time is over. We are passed answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.